routine of what does this button do? It's an educational show about smartphones and tablets. You have a quick tip for us, Chris?
Yeah, I'd like to just kind of jump in to a quick tip. And this is to force a location change. And not be so much a tip as a question to any of y'all out there.
All y'all.
All y'all. Have you had this problem? And in light of, people seem to like it when we talk about things that don't work right for us. I'm going to show you something that has not been working right for us and what I have done about it. And that is when your phone doesn't know where you are. You have to kick it. And sometimes even kicking it doesn't work. So that's what I want to do. And to do that, I need to stop sharing, right? Okay. So I'm talking about.
There you go.
The weather. I really like having weather for where we are. And we've been traveling a lot lately. I mean, last week at this time, we were in the Grand Canyon, right? And now we're in Tennessee. But this says that we're in Arkansas. We were in Arkansas this morning, but we're not in Arkansas now. So what do? First thing, whenever things aren't working, first thing to try is refreshing the app itself. And on this particular app, that means scrolling down, swiping down, getting onto the main app screen and swiping down. See how you get that circular arrow there? And now it says we're in West Memphis. So that's all it needed this time. But other times that has not worked. And so my tip is to turn off and on the service. In this case, it's location services. This is my Samsung phone, and I can get to location by looking at the quick. I go to my settings, and there's location. So I would turn location off, and then just turn it back on again. And I'll get a message saying that your phone, it can share its approximate location, et cetera, and you agree. Just by turning it off, this goes back and says we're in Lauderdale, which is
wrong.
But then it took a second and it says, oh, no, you're not. You're in West Memphis. So that's my tip. On an iPhone, the same thing, but shortcut to that service. You have to go into your settings and then privacy. Well, here, I can show it. So on the iPhone, into settings, and then location services is considered a privacy issue on the iPhone. So you have to go into privacy, location services, and same thing. You can turn it off and you can turn it back on again. That's how I kick it when my phone doesn't know where I am. How about you? Has anybody else out there? Because I would have thought that, oh, maybe it was just the app. Or maybe it was just my Samsung because my phone is getting a bit old. Issues.
Yeah, I was in Fortuna Hills in Yuma, Arizona for so long. And while we were traveling back east, and yeah, kicking it, rebooting it, sometimes that didn't even help. But
right. It kept wanting to put us in Yuma, Arizona. We left there. We were there, but even on my location history in Google, while we were at the Grand Canyon, you see a line like we took a flight down to Yuma and back.
A straight flight.
So some weird things with locations.
Yeah.
Kick it.
Yeah, just kick it. See if you can screen share again, because that's...
Right.
We're using some different hardware here today.
Right, which we're a little bit. There and there, and where's the stop? Screen share button. It usually appears right here. Now it should be back.
And okay, well, this is, what does this button do? What does that button do?
Where did that button go?
It is an educational show about smartphones and tablets with us, the Geeks on Tour. All right. Do you think your smartphone is smarter than you? Do you think your computer is smarter than you? And, you know, you have questions about your Android phone or your iPad tablet, and how do you learn about these amazing devices?
Well, we are geeks, but we keep learning all the time. Lifelong learning, daily learning, and we think the best way to learn is on a regular basis. So we came up with this weekly show where we try to teach you something every week. We hope you treat it like a class, your weekly class.
Right. Well, on today's show, we have, no, it's not. Beginner's lesson is smartphone cameras versus an SLR, single lens reflex, big glass. Our app is Google Earth. It's new. It's changed. So if you have questions during the show, here today, use the YouTube chat window, and by Wednesday afternoon we should have this thing up and running on thebuttonshow.com, and we'll probably do some edits too.
Even if we have to record some stuff because we bandwidth here, so we'll see how it goes.
All right. Well, where are we now, Chris?
We are on the banks of the Mississippi River.
We can actually see the barges going up the river from our
right
window.
out the window. We'll take some pictures later.
Put up some video.
So we actually you did some driving today already. We started out in Little Rock, Arkansas. Really was no bandwidth there. So if we thought city, Little Rock,
we should be able to get some bandwidth, but it doesn't always work that way. I have been using our booster, our cellular booster from Maximum Signal, and that helps some, not always enough. And we have a couple of internet connections here. They have Wi-Fi here, but it wasn't very robust. And that's typical of Wi-Fi in RV parks, or, you know, a lot of public Wi-Fi is that way. Not so good.
People think that you have to go to third world countries to lack of good internet. Not true.
But we are preparing for our Italy trip. Chris is taking a writer's workshop while we're over there. So we're testing this new devices. I'm using my Surface Pro for part of this, and we're using a new Chromebook for the other part of it. I'm actually running the show on the Chromebook, and Chris is doing the slideshow with the.
We plan to be in Italy and Croatia for be able to do our show, but we don't want to take a whole bunch of equipment.
Right.
This Chromebook is a little 10-inch, and same with the Pro.
Yeah.
And if we can get bandwidth over there, do the show with this equipment. So
you're supposed to be able to do it wherever you have an internet connection, and we'll see how that works. But we'll be ready with some other things too.
Yeah, so. I mean, even if we just have to do YouTube and chat, but we like having, we do as well.
We do. All right. Let's see if we have some questions here. Tom Park says it's nice to be here. And Karen says, all y'all, you must be east of the Mississippi. We're actually just on the west side of the Mississippi.
We haven't crossed over yet.
And Bill says, a professional photographer lady took a group to the Wall of China. She only took an Instamatic. Her pictures were as good or better than the large format cameras, although she got closer. And that's a key thing. Cool Chromebook. I'm anxious to hear what you find. Well, so far so good. We're liking it.
One of our followers, Ron Brown, is a Chromebook teacher, and he is our guest on the show in a couple of weeks, 3 weeks maybe.
Right.
And we will talk all about Chromebooks. It pretty impressive.
Yeah, we're on our way to our last rally for this part of the season, and headed back to Florida, and we'll be so glad to get back down there with some fast,
with some good internet,
reliable, hopefully, internet for us.
But then we're only there for a couple of weeks before we take off to Italy. So tuned.
Okay.
We'll keep in touch one way or the other.
Well, we do invite you to become a member at geeksontour.com. Just go to our website at Geeks on Tour and click on the button that says become a member. Right.
Questions?
All right.
So,
yeah.
Smartphones versus DSLR. So let me show you what I mean by DSLR. This is the camera I've had for, actually, my dad was a professional photographer, and I always got his hand-me-down
cameras.
So that's how I got started. Pentax was my first one.
Yeah, that I had the screw-in lens
that I would take
bayonet. I remember that.
In California, and then I had, SLR, single lens reflex, digital SLR.
Right.
My first SLR was film.
Yeah.
We've come a long way since that. And I love this camera. It has a good lens that'll go from very wide angle, very telephoto. That's scary.
Don't do that.
But it's heavy. So
you're going to have to carry that around. The last time we had this with us was at always have it with us at the Grand Canyon. She made me carry it.
Oh, not most of the time. I did. So what we're talking about here, we are not doing a shootout as to which ones take the best pictures. That's for somebody else. We are the practical considerations. I mean, I like to take good pictures, but neither of us come close to fancying ourselves as professional photographers. So we're talking about the practical considerations, but still being able to take good pictures.
Okay.
So where do you fit, and which one do you need? It's not black and white. It's a spectrum. So here's the scale that I put up. On the left, a smartphone will do if you just take occasional snapshots for memories. It absolutely is plenty. It also is good for people who take snapshot memories but enjoy some artistry, meaning, they want them to look really good, not just a snapshot. They want to put some thought into their snapshots. The hobbyist, I consider one step up. They try to get really good at taking good pictures, and smartphones are good enough for that. Photos as art. That means playing with them a bit, only taking pictures at dawn and dusk, and making the colors really rich and getting in close and working with your composition. You can do most all of that with the smartphone. So it's only I say that smartphones handle 90% out there who are taking pictures. There are the 10% that are professionals, and they still need probably even more than this, plus all sorts of lenses. But this, what would you say this weighs? It's at least 2 pounds.
Yeah. Now I have this camera. This is actually a Android tablet with a good lens on it, and it still uses apps. So camera apps we're talking about here too, right?
A little.
Right. Now this one does have a zoom lens. I can zoom this one in, and it has a pretty good glass. It's pretty impressive pictures that it can take.
We've actually compared. We've been looking at the same thing, and I've zoomed all the way in as close as I can get with this camera, this $1,000 camera, and he's zoomed in with that, and he gets closer.
Yeah, this is about a $400 camera, or at least it was when it was new.
All right. So the digital SLRs take better quality of somebody who really knows what they're doing.
They have big sensors. They have, they can take a lot of pixels, and, the stuff that's inside these phones, those chips are pretty small, although they do some impressive stuff, don't they?
And they are getting bigger and bigger.
Right.
Yeah. So the DSLR, the Pro, not even worrying about the actual quality of the picture, I say there are still two things that are really important. I don't have my mirror on. Are useful. When do I use my DSLR? Even though, yeah, I don't hear sound at all. Oh, well.
Don't worry.
For speed. So taking pictures out of a moving vehicle or from a moving vehicle, I want my DSLR, because you can just grab it, I click the button and zoom in so much. So the speed and the telephoto are what distinguish the SLR. The flash too, but I don't seem to take many pictures at night, so I don't care about the flash. And it can take a picture, so you're getting in close to a person and then blur the background. But the iPhone 7 Plus now can do that. No big deal. It used to be that I wanted my DSLR to control the white, but I can do that on my smartphone now. And it used to be that if I wanted a picture that you will say, wow, by HDR, and we'll talk a little bit more about HDR, I had to use the DSLR. But now the smartphones do every bit as good in all those categories. So the con of the DSLR, it's heavy and heavy. You need a computer to edit. Computer on a long overseas traveling with me. You need a computer to share. It doesn't have location tags. And since you have to put it all into computer later and work with it, it's work. Whereas the smartphones are just fun.
Right. Now, some of the new do have capability of uploading pictures. There's a card that we had for our
iFi?
The iFi.
The iFi card,
we don't use
yeah.
that anymore. They have some newer ones that are updated, but they'll ask if we get instant backup. No, we do that for quite some time.
Because so far anyway, I have not seen a Wi-Fi camera that will go directly to Google Photos. Own service, or maybe Dropbox or something, but nothing that goes straight to Google Photos. So I take the card out, put it into a computer, and drag and drop onto Google Photos. So smartphone. The things that the smartphone can do that DSLR cannot is panoramas, selfies, and HDR with no work. HDR stands for high dynamic range, and it's also called rich tone. Whenever you see a picture that you go, wow, that looks like a postcard, it's using HDR. And I will show you some examples later. Location tags on a smartphone. I love knowing where my pictures were taken. Instant editing, it's so much fun to play with them in Google Photos right on your phone. So when we are on a trip, take a picture, make it look better, upload it to Facebook, book before we're even back to the car. No work. List. Fun modes. Every time you think you've learned everything, you find another app that does some other fun stuff. And videos.
All these things are great for video. I just can't believe some of the videos that I've gotten.
They really are the best video cameras. Now, there are some cons. I think the number one is it's so easy for the lens to get dirty.
So that's our biggest tip. Clean the lens.
Always look at the lens anyway before you take a picture.
Because where do these things live? They live in your pocket or in your purse, and if you don't clean the lens, you're going to get fingers on their lens too, especially if you're doing selfies, right?
Front lens, especially when you're doing selfies, you're bound to have fingerprints on that.
Because they're touch devices.
Yeah, I mentioned that my dad was a professional photographer, and he always had lens cloths, lens papers, little lens papers, and a special brush with an air. So he was always cleaning the lens of his big cameras.
Microfiber is great for these smartphones. And we have a little clip on ours, so we keep it on our cases and then are everywhere.
Another problem with smartphones is that they use lots of battery. Well, buy some backup batteries.
That's what we do.
Carry some backup batteries with you. They can be slow. Now, that is my biggest problem with them. Something that I want to capture a picture.
It's easy to grab that big SLR, turn it on if it's not already on, and just snap the picture. These things, you have to find the app, or you have to get into them, and you have to.
There are some little tricks, the way to quickly open your camera.
There's down in the lower right hand corner of mine, I can just swipe up, and that will turn the camera on right away. That's for.
And oops. And phone, when you're on the lock screen, just swipe and you're at the camera. So, but you got to remember that.
If you don't use it all the time, you don't think it.
I just automatically go to unlock my phone, and then I'm back at my Google Maps or wherever I am, and I have to go home and get to the camera. And anyway, yeah. I will probably get used to faster when we're over in Italy, though. Selfies. It's nice to use a selfie stick. You can get a really good perspective using a selfie stick, but know that a lot of them have been outlawed.
Well, you're not allowed to take them into the world. You can't do the presidential library that we were in yesterday.
Yeah. But one thing also to know is that the rear lens, selfie lens, is the front lens. The rear lens is the one in the back. It is a lot better lens. So you are better off handing your phone to somebody else and asking them, will you take a picture of us? You'll get a better picture that way. I love selfies. I just love being able to have a picture of myself with whatever background I'm looking at. So, would I live with a smartphone without an SLR? Well, it's slow, but I learn how to be better prepared with my smartphone to take a picture at a moment's notice. So, you can still do it with a smartphone, just not as good a quality, unless you have the one like Jim's that he showed. Smartphone? Nah.
No.
Can't take a selfie, can't get location, you can't do any editing until later when you're at a computer, you can't do any sharing until later, and you need a computer. So, have one or the other.
Smart. That's the way to go.
Smartphone's the way to go. I'll show you some samples. Let's see if these are just some pictures we've taken recently. And it's getting there. I already have it there. All right. Now, here's an example of a selfie, and it's fun. But handing the camera to somebody else to take a picture of you is a lot better.
I agree.
they can
Compose.
That was a sample, yeah. And here, there's no way I would take my DSLR, right?
Right.
Actually, I probably have been known to when we have a good dry box, but taking the smartphone is easy to put into a waterproof plastic holder. So you can take your smartphone places that you can't. And this was taken with a smartphone. Now, this one is an example, I think, of a bit of a dirty lens. So yes, your smartphone can be with you anywhere, and it's also a little bit, and we'll show you how to manage that. Now, this is a sample of using a selfie stick, able to get a little bit further away using that selfie stick. But if you use a selfie stick, just be considerate. It's easy to lose track of where that stick is and end up being in somebody's way.
Or whacking somebody in the head.
Yeah. And this one is just a selfie taken with one of our. Oh, on this beach scene, I really used my digital SLR a lot. Here's another one where, you know, if all I had was my Canon, I couldn't have taken this picture, I guess. And same here. Selfies are just so much fun to have yourself in the picture in all sorts of wonderful places where you've visited. Now, this one is an example of a panorama. I think this one is a 360, yeah. So I'm just on the screen and moving around. I took that, and
that was taken with my Google camera 6. Next week I'll have a brand new Google Pixel, and it should be waiting for us in Tennessee.
this is just so cool. What a way to capture scene like the Grand Canyon.
Yeah, you need a special app for that, and it came built in with the Google camera.
And my Samsung has something called Virtual Tour, which is basically the same thing.
Right, and if you have those, or the viewers that you put your, that you can actually virtual reality, you can use those with this. Pretty cool.
Now, this one I'm going to bring up on the. This one is to show, this is a nice picture. Now, this is where we handed the camera to somebody else to get the selfie. And this is a nice picture, but it can be so much nicer. And I want to do that right on the phone. Let's see what other samples here I had. Yeah. So that's the photo at the top is the photo that you take, but the one at the bottom is the one that you make. And you might not see a lot of difference, but take a look at of the picture. See how dark it is? Whereas the bottom one, you see the detail in the shadows. That's what HD does. You also see richer colors. So I'm going to do this just right with the phone. Now, this example is a video. This was on the train to the Grand Canyon, and you only have to take a few seconds, and it will really enhance your memories. And the smartphones are so good at it. Is press a different button. Instead of pressing the picture button, you press the video button. All right, let me go back to the PowerPoint and see what else I was supposed to be talking about. And all right. So HDR, I want to talk a little bit more about HDR. If you are a person that wants to take really pretty pictures and think that only a pro can make those, wow, that looks like a postcard picture. No, it's built in, and I particularly like using the Snapseed app, the effect after the fact. Now I need to
Stop sharing.
stop sharing. Okay. And in a second,
I don't think you hit it.
you should see there. In a second, you should see my phone. Okay. Here we are. And I'm going to go into the photos, and I'm going to bring up, actually, this isn't a bad example right here. And so here's a photo. I just looked, I said, oh, that's such a gorgeous tree. I'm just going to snap a picture looking up.
She is her mother's daughter.
And so that's pretty, but it's actually a little bit bland. Let me show you what happens when you add HDR. And I'm going to do that by tapping the three-dot menu, photos that I'm using, but of the really fancy HDR, I tap Edit in Snapseed. Snapseed is a so by Google, and it has an amazing amount of editing tools. Satisfied with the picture you take, have fun doing stuff and making pictures. Okay, so now I'm in Snapseed, and there is the edit pencil. And there's all sorts of things you can do, but I'm just going to apply the one feature called HDR Scape. Do you see what it did? And now that you're in, you can choose different options by dragging your finger up and down. Filter strength is at 50, brightness is 0, saturation is 0.
I think we have to do a whole nother show on Snapseed.
On Snapseed. Oh, well, I need to take a week-long class on Snapseed. And then, yes, I'd love to teach more of it. So up and down gets you different options. Left and right makes it stronger. So see, when I take the filter all the way off, that's the plain picture. I put the HDR filter all the way on, and we see so much more detail in the bark and in the green, and the sky got bluer. I love it. Check mark, and done. Works on the Android anyway, is it does a nice circle. So we started in Google Photos, we went to Snapseed, and we ended back in Google Photos. The picture looking much prettier. Doesn't that look like a post? I think so.
Greens, but it looks great here.
Okay. The Grand Canyon was another really good example of that.
We only took a few pictures there.
Yeah,
right?
really. So that's a pretty impressive picture of the Grand Canyon. What just going to Snapseed and adding some HDR filter to it does.
Faster.
Yeah.
Go faster. Oh, that's not too bad.
Not too bad. Edit pencil, Escape. And as I say, there's, oh, look at that.
Oh my.
Oh my is right. And same thing, I'll go over to the right and I can increase the filter strength to make it less, somewhere past middle. It's just so fun. I mean, that's whenever I use my DSLR now, I just am not having as much fun.
Yeah, I always see her over there playing with her phone after she's taking pictures. It's cool. It really is. Back in Google Photos.
Yep, now I'm back in Google Photos. And one. How about that one?
That is amazing.
And the Google Photos Pop, if you keep up with what I teach on Google Photos, Pop does some of that, but just not all of it. The HDR is just too cool.
I think we'll start a whole new series on Snapseed.
On Snapseed, yeah, I think so. And is that okay? I have a few more demos to do. One of my complaints with the iPhone, so I'll go ahead and go to the iPhone, is that it takes pictures in what's called the 4:3 ratio. Yeah, so when I go to take a picture, the iPhone, that is the shape 4:3, but the screen is 16:9, and I think it's so much better. It fills the screen. So let me show you what I do. I'm in Google Photos here, and just pick any picture that I know was taken with the. Here was our camera today. And see the black bars on the edges? You know, it annoys me to no end. And there is no way to tell the iPhone to take a picture at 16:9 unless you get another app that will do it. Camera Plus will do it. But is edit and crop it to 16:9. So crop. And then this little button over here is the one that allows you to set the ratio. And then you can move it around a little bit, and done, and save. That's so much better.
It's nicer to look at on the phone.
To look at on the phone and on most big screen TVs and computers. So that's one thing. Another editing tool is just making something straighter. So I'm going to go find my edit samples. And there we have a crooked picture, not 16:9. So this time I'm going to edit up. I want it to be 16:9, and I also want it to drag in here.
The grid lines up there so you can line up the horizon.
All right. And color balance. The correct tool in now will fix color. And I have an example here that I think is not in here. All right. Yeah. See how the color on there just looks kind of yellowish, something? You tap the pencil, tap auto, and you can see on here, but the sky is a much more natural blue. Show me the original. The original was yellowish. On auto, the white balance has been corrected. I think that's the thing I wanted to show. Oh, I do have a couple more in here.
You need to screen share again.
Yes. There you go. All right. So I said that I really want my DSLR when I'm trying to capture pictures as we're driving down the road. Otherwise, I would never have gotten this Leaning Tower of Texas. Or the Cadillac Ranch in Amarillo. Now, this was a ways off the road, so I had to both snap and zoom in. And with the digital SLR, no problem. That would have been tough with a smartphone.
If not impossible.
Same thing with catching the signs. I love having those. And I doubt that I could get a picture that crisp with the blurred background and that close with anything but the SLR. So I would not.
How are you going to get that close?
I would not take that picture with my smartphone. No, no, no. This one is the clean the lens. So I already showed that and those. I'm done.
You're done with your beginner's lesson. Well, we invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Just go to youtube.com and search for Geeks on Tour. More questions. I think we had something in here. Let's take a look. Use the Google Blue Enhance before or after Snapseed?
Good
question.
Good question. If I think I'm going to use Snapseed, I use it on the original picture.
Okay.
Because it has so many features, and only if once I'm back to Google Photos, if I still want to tweak it a little bit, then okay. But I start in Snapseed with the original.
And Bill says that asking others to take pictures is a great icebreaker. You can make friends that way. Yeah, I always ask the cute girls if
and offering to take pictures. He's forever offering to take people.
Yeah, what I do is I put it on selfie when I do that, and I get a picture of me for them. I think that's
photobomb.
Photobomb. Okay, we could practice our phone quick draw.
Right. or find something that will allow it to hang around your neck in just the right way.
Yeah, that's all right. Somebody else. Jeepers, I've been using a smartphone forever and never noticed the open camera from this lock screen function. Well, Debbie, it's good to see you here. All right. Let's kick that up. All right. Like us on our Facebook. Like our Facebook page. So just go to .com/Geeks on Tour and you'll find us there. And app of the week. The Google Earth has been around for a while, and it is just one of the best FaceTime that I can, that I've ever seen. It's just a great app, and now what they've done is they've made it a browser. You needed a program on your computer before to actually make it work, and you need an internet connection so that it can keep everything up to date, otherwise it was real blurry. Now, just from a browser, you can run Google Earth on any device without having a separate app. I think you can still get the app there, but Google Earth is really, really cool. So check out the new functionality that it has, and it's pretty big, and I love the opening screen. Loading in progress. Billion of 4 billion years processed. That is just too cool.
I think we will talk about Google Earth a lot more when we're over in Italy. I think that's...
Yeah, we have some friends who travel extensively overseas, and that's the way they do most of their research for finding places to stay in an RV over there. I thought that was really cool. But now you have a good internet connection, you can just use it from the browser window, and I think that's cool.
And it has some new features, right?
It does.
Yeah. Go play.
Okay, well, did you learn something? I know I did. Before taking any photo, be sure to
clean the lens.
Please clean the lens. You'll get much better pictures.
You can fix just about anything with your editor, the effects of a dirty lens.
When you're making better pictures that you've already taken, you want to have that lens clean. Take a nice picture and make a great picture by doing what?
editing, play with those editing tools. Do not be satisfied with the picture that you took. At the very least, go into Google Photos and tap the auto.
You'll find some cool stuff when you do.
And the crop and straighten is really important. And then if you want pictures
to really pop,
then
Snapseed.
Snapseed and HDR, which I might have.
Learn to use a selfie stick and you'll never need to ask someone to take your picture. True or false?
Like you say, it's a great, and it is a better picture if somebody takes it using the intended camera lens.
Agreed. A photo that makes you go wow is probably using what, Chris?
HDR. There's lots of different ways to get HDR, and I have a few videos on member videos on geeksontour.com on how to get HDR, but the one I showed today is so simple using Snapseed. Oh, spoiler alert.
Spoiler. What app does Chris use to add the wow factor? I think we've already answered that.
Snapseed.
If you use a DSLR camera, you also need what?
A computer. Unless you have the Wi-Fi kind to upload automatically, you need a computer to do everything else other than just take the picture.
Right. Well, now the Chromebook. This Chromebook with a touch screen on it even has Snapseed app because it's a Google, and Google works pretty well with Google stuff.
Well, actually, that's something we didn't mention. Yes, Snapseed is an app for phones.
Does not work at all on a real computer, like on a Windows or a Mac computer. So you do need a mobile device.
A Chromebook will run Android apps. And
cool.
And that is way cool to have that big screen and all the tools I'm used to.
All right, Chris, what's the web page that lists all of our weekly shows?
Geeksontour.com, and the menu item is weekly show.
And the web page that has all our recent newsletters.
Geeksontour.com, and the menu item is blogs and news. You'll find newsletters under there.
Okay, cool. The benefits you get by joining Geeks on Tour.
A complete learning library of prepared tutorial videos, ask us any question in the member Q&A, the show notes for these weekly shows, and discounts on products and services.
Excellent.
And the ebooks, including the Google Photos ebook.
Right, so we do invite you to become a member. Geeks on Tour. Go to our website and click on the button that says Become a Member. Next time.
We hope to be able to do it next week.
Yeah, we might even do a live presentation with a live audience.
Face-to-face live audience.
Right. So watch for the posting and the show notes on Wednesday at thebuttonshow.com. And if you have an idea for a topic, use a suggestion box there at thebuttonshow.com.
Yeah, so this next week we will be in Sevierville, Tennessee at the Escapees ACRE Acre.
That should be fun. And we'll be doing several seminars, and we're even doing a class for
We're doing hands-on smartphone photography.
Should be fun. All right. For us this week, I'm Jim.
I'm Chris.
And we are Geeks on Tour. See you next time.
Keep on pushing those buttons. What does this button do? What does this button do?
Don't touch that button.
That one.
Oh, that's enough. See you later.